Hey everyone, I'm Anya Esma, and today we are going to do another deep dive tarot study single card thing where I rant about a single tarot card and basically tell you about the numerology, how it fits into the narrative of the whole suit it is part of, the symbolism, the elements, and the warning and the encouraging aspects of the card. So just to be clear, I say this at the start of all of these videos, and I've done quite a few. I will link the playlist below. This is not a general reading. It's not meant to be lessons for the collective or anything like that, or for you personally. But you can take it as that if you want to. I'm really just generally speaking about how this card could be interpreted and what the different perspectives and meanings of it are to me at the current time. So I'm going to draw a random card from the Numerology Tarot deck, and it is the Seven of Cups. I haven't done that yet. That's amazing, because sometimes, like 2 or 3 times, I draw a card that I haven't done yet. So as always, I'm also going to put a picture up of the classic Rider-Waite-Smith depiction. With the Seven of Cups, we're going to have a lot of symbols to go through, so I'm really excited for that. So let's start. So first of all, let's talk about the numerology. With the Seven of Cups, or the sevens in general, we have sort of an inhibition of the momentum that was built during the 6. So if you remember, I've spoken about how the 5 is usually a conflict or some kind of collapse of the world that you've built, something that destroys the stability of the 4, basically, and you have to deal with it. And then 6 is you kind of integrating whatever happened in the 5 and being able to put it into motion in reality. Now with the 7s, we often have an interruption of that motion. We have an interruption of momentum that exists. For example, with the 7 of Pentacles, we have this idea of delay, of having to wait for fruits to grow. With the 7 of Swords, we have someone stealing resources, taking resources away. With the 7 of Wands, we have having to defend your position. You know, the 6 of Wands is a great card where there's victory, and then the 7 of Wands is like, but once you win, you also have to defend yourself against new suitors for your position. And with the 7 of Cups, finally, we also have this stagnation of energy in a way, because you are at a part way, do you say that? A fork in the road, let's put it like that. I'm not a native English speaker, so sometimes I say weird stuff. So you're at a fork in the road where you have to make a decision. It's not just a fork, actually. It's not just 2 paths. It's often even more, in this case, 7 cups to choose from. So that is the numerology. Now let's talk about how it fits into the whole narrative of the cups. So the narrative of the cup suit, I feel like, is not as coherent or logical as the other ones, because you have this idea of love and intimacy with the 2 of Cups and connection with other people. Then with the 3 of Cups, you also have a card of connection, a card of happiness and joy. And then with the 4 of Cups, you have the first stop. It's not a card of stability like with the other suits. The 4 of Cups is really like refusing something. It is kind of like a card of stability, but in a negative way, where it's like you're not seeing the blessings coming to you because you are focused on whatever grief you're going through or whatever's happening. And then it becomes even more dramatic in the 5 of Cups, where you really have that whole idea of grief and only seeing the negative and having to go through a period of grief, etc. And then with the 6 of Cups, we suddenly have this switch to like childish joy, or learning to see the world in a different way. So the way I like to see this is that everything leading up to the 6 of Cups is sort of you, or whoever, not you becoming very rigid about a way to view the world, becoming rigid about what life should look like, what you want your life to look like, what you want love to look like. And it becomes worse and worse, so to speak, because you're so focused on the ideal of what you want it to be that you refuse to take new opportunities or see reality. That's sort of what we have all the way up to 5. And then with the 6, we almost have this idea of inner child work and finding joy again and building a new concept of what life could be and could become. And then with the 7 of Cups, this energy of like a new start from the 6 of Cups, like a fresh mind, becomes a little bit dramatized, because it's like, well, now that you actually are open to other options and now that you actually see what's in front of you, you are overwhelmed by the options. And then with the 8 of Cups continuing down the road, we have the idea of leaving stuff behind, having made a decision and leaving other things that also look great behind in order to go into a new phase in your life, as a grown-up, so to speak, not in this like childish, oh, I see all the possibilities in the 6 and the 7, but in a really real way of like, okay, 8 of Cups, I've made a decision, I'm moving on. And then with the 9 and the 10 of Cups, we have the happiness that comes from that decision. So the narrative of the Cups essentially is going from being stiffly focused on one idea in your mind or one emotion as well, it could be an emotion, to opening yourself up to more possibilities and then choosing and taking responsibility and moving from that. So with the 7 of Cups, we have the moment of confusion, the moment of, oh, well, opening myself up to all these possibilities is actually a little bit scary because there are a lot of possibilities. Now, that perfectly leads us to talk about the symbols in the 7 of Cups, because there are a lot. So the symbols in the Mucha Tarot are the same as in the Rider-Waite-Smith, as you can see here. So I will just go with the Mucha Tarot card and show you that. So let's start from the top left and just kind of name these symbols. First of all, obviously we have the clouds in the background. Let's talk about those first, actually. The clouds really signify that this is like a dream, an idea. It's not a real situation where these cups are floating in front of you. It's more of an imagination, maybe even a dream that you are in, where you see all these possibilities, or it's like your mindscape. You're trying to conceive all of these, possibilities in front of you on your path. So that's the one thing, the clouds. The person, I think we don't have to talk about super much. The only big difference I see is that in the Mucha Tarot, they look a little bit resistant. Like the way they hold their hands is kind of like, oh, Jesus, I didn't want all this opportunity. I kind of just want to live my stable life again. Whereas in the 7 of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith, I feel like it's more, it is a little bit shocked as well, like taken aback, but it's more open to the possibilities. But, naja, it's not a big difference. The main point of this card anyways is all of the cups that represent different paths in life. So I think this card is very universal in its approach to what life has to offer and what decisions you could make to pursue. So let's go from the top left. First of all, we have a beautiful woman's face, which I would interpret as love. I'm going to go through these very quickly. Then second of all, we have a kind of white hooded figure with like a saintly glow around them, which I would perceive as spirituality or religion. Then third, we have a snake. I'm not sure how to interpret that. Let me know what you think about that. The snake can obviously be a symbol of many things. It could be a symbol of betraying someone. It could be a symbol of being open to change and not quite making a decision, but just changing yourself, shedding an old skin. It could refer to even death, like, snakes are associated with venom. They are associated with death. So the snake is a little bit of a hard one. Then we have a castle, which I really feel like it could refer to like conquering places, earning castles for yourself, or really just home building, like building a nest for yourself, building stability for yourself. Then we have the cups with all the riches in it. There's quite obviously money. and status and stuff like that. Then we have the sixth cup with the laurels. This is more about status, I would say. It's about like victory, about showing other people you're better than them, fame, you could say. And then with the seventh cup, we have a dragon. Now, bear with me. I have an interpretation of this dragon that I don't know if anyone else has it, but to me, it's this idea of slaying dragons for fame. So it's also kind of fame related. Or you can take it into the shadow work direction and say like, okay, you're kind of battling your own beasts and working on yourself. And it's like a symbol of the shadows that you still have to work on. So those are how I would interpret those 7 paths that you can take. I think it's not necessarily a decision of like going for just one of them, because obviously they can all incorporate each other. But it is a message of like, hey, you can't have all of it. So all of these symbols kind of come together to say there's endless possibilities and it's really up to you which path you choose. Now, I want to talk about the elements briefly because obviously the cups are the water suit. I've talked a lot already about what the water suit stands for and what the story of the cups is, so I'm not going to reiterate that. But it is definitely about like making an emotional decision and feeling the fear of making a decision and not necessarily being in a logical state of mind, but being emotional about the fact that you have too many options. So that comes in. And with the clouds, we do have a little bit of air energy added here, where it's this idea of like these are different ideas, different perspectives on life that you can take, and you have to choose now. So it's a little bit of a marriage between air and water energy in this 7 of Cups. Now let's talk about the warning elements and the encouraging elements. You all know that I don't like to say positive and negative elements in the card, or aspects. I shouldn't say elements because then it sounds like I'm talking about the 4 elements, which I'm not. I'm talking about like warning aspects and encouraging aspects. There are multiple warning aspects to this card, I would say. Number 1, it's warning you of, or could warn you in a spread of indecision, of not being able to make a choice and delaying it for so long that the choice is made for you. So it could be a call to action to just choose. At the same time, the warning aspect of this card could be that quite the contrary, you are feeling overwhelmed right now with choices and need to take some time away when you are not in this scared state anymore, or nervous state to make that decision. I know these are very contrary interpretations, but the thing is, it really depends on what context the card comes up in, what spread it comes up in. That's why I'm saying this is not a reading. What I'm doing here, I'm just laying out what are the aspects that this card could refer to and could signify. We also have the encouraging aspects. I think it's encouraging in the way that it opens up possibilities in front of you that you might not even be able to see because you are blind to them. Because many people, you know, don't think of themselves as person X, like, I'm not a successful person. I'm not a person who will be famous. I'm not a person who will earn a lot of money. I'm not a person who will own a house. I'm not a person who will find love because I'm not lovable. All of these words that we tell ourselves and limitations that we set ourselves, we are kind of encouraged to let go. And this card is like, damn man, look at the possibilities that you do have. Look at the many paths that life has to offer, and you don't even have to choose one necessarily. Because this is also the thing, this card is not necessarily saying, hey, you got to choose one of these. It's more an abundance in front of you, a positive abundance that might seem scary, but it only seems scary because you are limiting yourself. And the encouragement is to question those limitations that you put on yourself and really see what is possible. Personally, for myself, when this card comes up in spreads, oftentimes it shows me that I'm indecisive about something which I didn't even know I was indecisive about. Like if I do a spread about any sort of issue, I don't even notice that I have these different perspectives in my head, or decisions that need to be made, or paths I could take. I don't even realize that truly. And this card is kind of a signifier of like, well, look how many opportunities you actually have. You are maybe just thinking about one. Think about the other perspectives that you might have, and think about why they scare you as well, and why you stand there like this, like, oh God, actually, I don't want these other opportunities, you know? Like, why do you act like that? So it's a great shadow work card as well. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I think that was quite the long card because I actually really like this card. It's simple but complex at the same time. It can be so many things. It can be so many things, and that's exciting in tarot always. So thank you so much for watching. Okay, I just dropped my journal. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will put the link to the other single card tarot readings I did below. If you like this video, please consider liking it. If you're not subscribed to me yet, please subscribe. If you want to, then you can see more of this. And thank you so much for being here. And I will see you very, very soon.